All right, after watching the tape, I feel like we did a lot of things that we set out to do. We after coming out of that Jacksonville game, I said we need to run the ball better. I thought we ran the ball better. We completed balls, almost 70% of our balls on the offense side of the ball. Um, we scored before the half. We scored when we came out. I feel like we had the momentum there. We added more to our tempo system. I thought that looked good. There was a lot of positive there. The 2 turnovers, I love to have those back. We did a good job of taking care of the football for about 3 weeks. And yesterday, we turned it over a couple of times. But for the most part, I thought the offense put up 30 points. I thought we went out, we did some good things. They said we need to make our kicks. I thought Michael Bashley went out, and I thought he made his kicks, especially when we needed him to. Defensively, could not have asked for a better 2.5 quarters. I mean, that team could run the football. They have a good offensive line. They have two of the better backs in this game. In that first half, I don't think they averaged 1 yard rushing. But we have to finish the games. In about a quarter and a half, they scored 27 points. And that's just not all on the defense. Offensively, we could have done some things to help put that game out of reach. And on special teams, we could have did some things in the kicking game as well. So it was just disappointing to lose that football game after doing so many good things. And a lot of things that we had prepared to do and intended to do, I saw play out on tape. But we did not finish once again, and that's on me, And that in that last quarter, we got to get a stop when we need to stop, and we got to get that team off the field. And we kicked 3 field goals in our last 3 drives on offense. We got to score touchdowns. Okay, field goals. You're not gonna win this league kicking field goals. So we just got to figure out a way to get this done. And I'm not in the business of pointing fingers. I'm in the business of solutions, and that's what we're trying to do right now.
All right, let's start off with Rashawn. Go ahead, Rashawn.
Hey, Coach. When you last year around this time, when you let go of Ken, you said it was time. What similarities are you seeing or are you experiencing then compared to what you're experiencing now when you look at the defensive side of the ball?
To me, 2 totally different situations. If you're asking me about Ken last year and Gus this year, 2 totally different situations. I don't like to let anybody go. That's not my goal when I hire these men. We work through things, we get through things together. That situation was different.
Do you, at what point do you take more of a hands-on approach on that side, or do you not?
No, it falls on me. So at this point, I have to.
Okay. And then as far as last week, do you feel like you guys are kind of out of the woods in terms of, with the COVID situation you had last week? And also, do you think the league needs to be more strict with the protocols?
No, I think the league have a great plan, a game plan for this COVID. And no, I do not think we're out of the woods. We're going to be faced with this enemy all season. So if anything, we have to double down on our protocols and do better. We had our first case last week, and I'd like for it to stay that way. But I understand that, winter's around the corner, and we're going to be going playing in places where there's cold weather and where guys may have it. But we have to be careful still.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jeff Miller.
Anthony, can you talk about the Desmond King trade? What from a team standpoint, what went behind that?
Sometimes, Jeff, a player just need a fresh start, and I wish Des all the best in the world. I hope he goes there and kill it, and just have a great career. But his time was up here, and I just wish him all the best.
And Anthony, what I know you're not going to give us details, but just from a couple of years ago, and he was so good. What happened the last year and a half or so, season and a half, where he just really fell off the radar almost with this team?
I can't speak to why he may have fallen off the radar or however you said it, but I just know Des was a good teammate. He's a good football player, but this happens. Like I said, sometimes guys just need a fresh start, and we just wish him all the best.
And do you have any anything more clear concerning Joey Bosa?
I know Joey went out, and I heard that he was concussed. So, it's a good chance he's going to be in the protocol, and we'll see if he'll be available at the end of the week.
And then there was a couple of hits yesterday. The one Justin was pretty high. I didn't see a replay of the Pope hit. Did either of those trouble you in terms of there could have been penalties, or maybe I'm not going to say helmet to helmet, but they did appear to be up.
Well, I've seen those hits before. You know, Kaiser got tagged with that a couple of weeks ago, a similar hit, and we were called for it. But yeah, I was hoping for a flag in those situations, but it didn't happen. You know, that's just the way it goes.
And then, is there any more clarity concerning Tremaine's concussion situation, or is it the same?
He's not concussed, and he's going to be fine.
Okay.
Pop.
Hey, Anthony. With the inconsistencies on defense, you guys have gone out and played dominant football on the defensive side for quarters, 2 quarters, halves, but there's always seems to be these lapses. I know you say you're not in the business of pointing fingers, but in terms of solutions, in terms of fixing it, what has to change to get more consistency on that side of the ball?
Well, we're going to need better communication at the end of these games when we get in these situations where the game may speed up on some of our younger players, and we got to execute. Better communication, we got to execute. There's not a whole lot to change because these guys do a heck of a job of getting these young men ready to be in these positions where they're playing good ball. But to finish these games like this, we have to communicate better.
And then just after watching the tape, how'd you feel like Nasir Adderley played?
He didn't have his best game, but he made some plays. You know, I love for him to be that eraser tackler and prevent some of those explosives that happen. But he made some plays as well.
You mentioned it, but you obviously rely on that position at free safety to be that cleanup guy and to prevent those types of explosive plays. I mean, how challenging is it to go from having a guy in Shawn who's an experienced player there, pretty good at doing those things, to a younger player in Nasir who's more or less a rookie? And how big of a factor is that in some of these explosive plays you've been allowed?
It's been a big factor. It's not just the explosive plays; it's also just the angles and just learning how to play from the middle of the field. You know, Shawn got all that experience last year doing that, and started out this year on fire. And then when DJ got hurt, I mean, he was the best strong safety on the team, so we made that move. I'm not saying that Shawn won't ever go back and play in the middle of the field some, but right now, you know, Nas has got to get better right there.
And then on that pass interference on facing in the end zone at the end of the game, how do you coach your players for those specific types of situations to avoid?
Get your head around.
Is that something you hammer home with those cornerbacks for those specific situations, like final play of the game type deal, that you just can't commit that type of penalty in the end zone?
Yes, I mean, it's his 3rd year in this league. Get your head around.
Thank you.
Cam.
Hey, Coach, just going back to that final play, it looked like he got his head around slightly, face on dead. It was just not enough. Almost didn't he turn his body around?
No, you got to make an attempt to get your head around and locate the ball. You know, unfortunately, that was a good call.
Okay, Coach, I asked you a couple of weeks ago in regards to the defense giving up these huge deficits. Was it a schematic issue or personnel issue?
No, they called the same plays, and we called the same plays on defense, and we did not execute, and we did not get some things communicated that should have been communicated.
So when you help me out when you say execute, Coach, that's a key word that you use a lot.
Well,
Is
you
it
got
more of
to
a
tackle? You got to come downhill in the right angles. You got to tackle. You got to drop in the right zones. I mean, there's execution every play that we call. Yeah, can we mix it up more as a staff? Yeah, probably going to have to if we're going to execute like that down the stretch.
Is this more of a competence or a commitment issue then?
No, I think some of this is youth. You have some young guys out there, and we got to get the right calls called when we, for the right plays, and get everything communicated. I just think sometimes when the game speeds up, it's a coach's job to figure out how to slow the game down for a player. And that's where we got to look at ourselves and say, how do we slow this game down for some of these young men so that they don't make these mistakes?
So should we expect that the things would be dialed back a little bit to help slow it down for these younger players?
Whatever it take. Yes, it could be dialed back. So.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Joe.
Anthony, being as though I know you impressed upon tackling as one of the issues, but in the middle of the season, especially as the number of padded practices go down, how much can you work on or hone tackling skills at this point in November?
Well, you can. There's tackling drills that we do year round, Joe. So that's unfortunately if you're on the defense side of the ball. I mean, that's what you're paid to do is tackle. So that's something that we can continue to improve on. I'm pretty sure, but it's not just tackling. You know, it's like I said, some of it's just communication.
And then just can a team develop a killer mindset and keep the foot on the throat at midseason? Can they develop that, or is that?
Well, if any team can, Joe, I believe this one can. I mean, we've done it before. There's no reason why we can't do it again. You know, this reminds me of my first year here. We went down 3-6 after we lost that game in Jacksonville. You know, I felt the same way coming home on the plane. But that team developed a killer instinct, so there's no reason why this one can't.
Okay. And then just your thoughts on the running game yesterday after looking at the tape. How much did Bulaga's return help?
I thought Bryant's a starter. Having a starter back at right tackle, it certainly helped. But I thought the plan was good. Started out a little slow, but we picked it up there in the running game. Like I say, anytime you rush for over 200 yards, you know, I'm good with that. I thought Pope stepped up. I challenged some of those young backs to step up and be the guy, and I thought they stepped up. So I was pleased with that part of it.
How much good was it too that it was your backs who did most of the rushing yards, and that you didn't have to do jet sweeps or as many of those with the receivers?
You know, we're going to always throw some stuff in there just to kind of get people on the heels. But and we even had a couple quarterback-driven runs in yesterday just to keep them honest, make them play 11 on 11. But it was good to see the running backs carry the bucket of load for sure.
Okay, thanks.
Let's go to Michael.
Hey, Coach. For lack of a better word, things are fairly rough right now, and I'm just curious, what player specifically do you think of in that locker room that you can rely on to, I guess, get the right message, the right words out to the rest of the locker room?
Well, number one, my captains. You know, I know I can rely on those guys. That's why they were voted captains, and their job is to carry out the message throughout the locker room. So we will have a captains meeting. But if we didn't have captains, I feel very comfortable with the character that we have on our football team. These guys go out. I mean, they play hard every single week, and they come to practice, and they give it everything they've got in practice and the attention to detail in the meeting rooms. So I have no problem with that on this football team.
All right, and Cole Toner was a guy, he started at right guard this game, and going off what Joe said, you guys rushed for, I think it was a season high, 210 yards. Having Bulaga back is huge, but what do you think of Toner there? I think the first big gain on the ground, they had an excellent combo block up to the backside backer, sprung Kelly for about 22 yards. Just overall, your thoughts on his play?
You know, he showed me exactly what he showed me in training camp. I thought he had an excellent training camp, but you can only keep so many on the final roster. But I put him in there because I wanted to see him play. And he started out a little slow, but he got better every single quarter. And so overall, I thought he did a pretty good job.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Emmanuel.
Coach, when offenses are making runs against y'all in the second half, do you see any trends about how they're trying to attack you?
I couldn't understand you, Emmanuel.
So when offenses make runs at the end of games, do you see any trends on how they're trying to attack your defense?
I still can't hear you that well, my man. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Emmanuel, we're gonna have to move over to Gilbert. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Hey, Anthony, sticking with the offensive line, it seemed like Forrest Lamp had a pretty good game yesterday. How do you think he's been doing all year?
You know, Forrest has been very consistent, and I did think he got a decent game yesterday, no doubt. But you know, like I said, when we don't win, man, it ain't ever good enough. But when I looked at the whole line, I was pleased with the way they ran block, and the way they protected the quarterback. You know, Denver has a good defense, and our team was very good on first and second down, and even better on third down. So I was okay with what he did.
And with choosing with a Cole Toner at right guard over guys like Scott Quisenberry and Tyree St. Louis, why was that? Because you saw something good in practice?
I was just in training camp. He just flashed on me in training camp, and I just want to get him in there. I mean, it made more sense to start Scott or Tyree. They've been on the active roster, but hell, right now we've had so many people rotating on the offensive line. I just want to see what I have. And you may have something special, you never know it. And you won't know that until you put it on the field.
And Anthony, just curious, with Desmond King being ruled out the day before the game, was that because he was on the trading block?
That was just team decision.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's go over to Rashawn.
Hey, Coach. When you look at some of the things late in games that you've experienced this season, how much does depth play a role?
I think depth earlier, we have more depth now than we did a few weeks ago, but early on, I think depth played a major role because a lot of those guys were also core special team guys. They were playing late in games, and I saw a team getting physically tired on the football field. But we had that unexpected bye week. We got 2 or 3 players back, and I believe that's made a difference in our depth.
And then that last play, the touchdown for the Broncos, can you kind of take me through that? It looked like Jenkins came up because he thought Locke was going to run. Obviously, the play's broken down there. Can you take me through kind of responsibilities there and how your team?
No, I would just say this: we didn't get the job done on that last play, and no, it was not Jenkins' fault at all. If anything, Jenkins was in a great position, almost saved the play, but it was just some miscommunication that broke down there, alignments and things like that. But it was not Jenkins' fault at all.
So you would say it was miscommunication?
It was some of that going on late in that game. I think we can do a better job adjusting to their tempo.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan.
Anthony, I think we've spoken training camp a little bit about kind of the different off season this year, just all the cutbacks and stuff, how that might affect young players. How much of a factor do you think that's been?
You know what? It's been a huge factor. And I think as a staff, we have to figure out, where that balance is between putting too much on a young man's plate and letting him go out and play football and have an impact. So I think sometimes as coaches, we can feel like we don't have enough bullets and we put a lot on the players. But when you don't have that off season and when you don't have those preseason games, I think we have to consider maybe even taking even more off the plate. I think we already have, but maybe even more.
When you look at, how well Herbert's played, and, I think, right, if you guys had been able to close these games out, you guys would be maybe the talk of the league, even the talk of this town. And just kind of in the bigger picture, I know your priority is to win football games, but, in terms of gaining a foothold in LA and really kind of becoming LA's football team, how much of a lost opportunity does this feel like when you again, you see the positives and you see these games slip away the way they have?
Anytime you lose, I feel like it's a lost opportunity. And it's a shame because these young men work so hard, these coaches coach so hard, and we've done so many good things, but yet we've come up short. But I would tell you this: don't count us out just yet. We've got a lot of football left.
Thank you.
Sure.
A few more. Pop, go ahead.
Anthony, with Desmond now gone and Chris Harris still on IR, is Tavon Campbell going to stay at nickel, or are you going to try some different looks there?
No, he would play nickel for us, and Nas even played some nickel for us in training camp. So we have some guys that can step in there, and maybe even Jalil. So we'll see how it works out in practice.
And this is kind of the key question, and I'm not sure if you can even answer it, but how do you get players to execute better? Is at some point, is there a limitation in terms of the talent you have on the field and how well they can execute?
I think that's up for us to recognize and evaluate. If we can get players to do what we want them to do. As coaches, we got to get players to do what they do best and put them in positions to do what they do best. So that's something that we have to take a good look at.
Joe.
I'll try helping out Emmanuel since I think I heard his question. When you see teams attacking you late in games, offenses, especially the past 3-4 games, is there a common trait or something that you're seeing when they try to attack you?
No, not really. Like the team last night did not do anything any different they did the first half and the second half. And that's what makes that so frustrating was in the first half, you look like the 85 Bears in the second half for a quarter and a half, you give up 27 points, but there was nothing different. If it was, we can make adjustments, but we made the same calls we made the first half.
Okay. And I know last year was last year. and you made a move at midseason, but what would your message be to the fan base that after these blown leads and everything, that they're looking for a scapegoat or somebody, and it looks like you're not going to make any sort of move, coaching staff?
Joe, my message to any fan, to my players, to my coaches, that we're going to do everything possible to find solutions to turn this around, and that's what it is.
And like last year, making a staff move is the absolute last resort.
No, I mean, making a staff move is not always the right thing to do. You know, I mean, I understand why you're questioning, you know, what we're doing and why we're not making a staff move and all that. But, you know, firing people just in the middle of the season, that's not always the right thing to do.
Okay. No, I guess I was asking from your standpoint.
I mean, it just sounds like you want someone fired, but that's why.
No, but when you made the move last year, that was an absolute last resort in your book, in your line of thinking, right?
That was completely different than how I view what's going on right now. So that was just a different situation, Joe.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, last one. Fernando, you're up.
Hey, Anthony. You guys had 3 special teams penalties yesterday, 2 on formations, and then the other one was a formation at the end for the field goal. Thoughts on the 3 special teams penalties?
No, we were penalty in that game. We were pretty clean all the way up until the very end, and yeah, we had a couple of penalties on special teams. We lined up in a formation that we should not have been in, and this young man has been in that spot for 2 years. So it was only a yard. The official, they said they normally would just warn you, but for whatever reason they threw the flag. But that's their right to do that. So we just have to do better there.
And just last one, what was your message to the team today when you guys met? And
we're getting ready to meet as soon as I get off the Zoom with you.
Okay, I'll let you get to that then. Sorry.
Appreciate it.